An absolutely insane UFC 281 card just recently finished up. I'm going to talk about each of the matchups on it. We'll start it off with the first fight of the night and then make our way to the main event. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. And let's start it off with the first fight of the night. It started off in the light heavyweight division. It was Carlos Ulberg and Nikolai Negumereanu. And Carlos Ulberg just sniped him, beat the hell out of him from range, and was able to get a first-round knockout. To me, this dude has evolved from the days of losing to a Kenyan Zechiku. He now looks like a potential problem at 205 pounds. Incredible kickboxing, city kickboxing guy. You know they got that takedown defense. I think that Carlos Ulberg has a ton of potential in MMA. A win over a guy in 13-1, Nikolai Negumereanu, is actually a huge accomplishment for him. Big things are on the horizon. I'm very impressed with Ulberg. Good win to start the night off by knockout, too. That was sick. Let's keep running up to the next one. Montel Jackson and Julio Arce. Not the best fight of the night. Jackson able to control in the clinch a bit. Julio Arce has just insane takedown defense. There was moments where Montel Jackson was able to get to Arce, hurt him, put him down. I feel like Montel Jackson's honestly pretty solid as far as 135ers go, even in the striking department. Sometimes he is very patient to let the output go, but when he does let things fly, explosive combos, some real power, nasty fast hands. He's a fun guy to watch in the weight class, 12-2. Who knows? He could turn that corner to contendership. I do think a ranked guy could definitely be next. For Arce, sent back, man. He dropped to bantamweight looking to do big things, but now takes a hard loss to Montel Jackson. We'll see what they do with him, but Montel, this is good for. The next matchup was a barn burner. Mike Trizano and Seung Choi threw down. The fight starts with them both dropping each other with hooks. Both guys were hurt in the round. I feel like, is this the best fight of the year? Nah, not the best fight of the year, but maybe the best, round one fight of the year. The amount of back and forth was crazy. It was top tier. It was one of the better fights you'll see ever in combat sports. Mike Trizano gets the KO win, dropping Seung Choi with the left hook, which is a punch that I expected him to land. I called the Trizano win, which is pretty damn sick. It was a back and forth battle. I loved every second of it. Choi banged a bit, overextends his shots. Trizano snipes him out, stops him. Great win for Mike Trizano, who's real fun at that featherweight class and still young and developing guy. Next one, Karolina Kowalkiewicz and Silvana Gomez Juárez. There was some weird shit going on with the scorecards. I'll tell you this. I think I had a fair scorecard. I scored it for Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She was able to control the grappling a bit. In the third round, she got striking off. Gomez Juárez definitely has got some hands. She can box really good. Her grappling defense, honestly, is not all that bad. I think because she was so concerned, though, of getting put on the ground and controlled, her striking was then kind of limited. She did seem like a little bit tired in the third, and Kowalkiewicz kind of put it on her late with combos. I know the commentary was trying to say that Gomez Juárez was taking the fight over. I totally disagreed with the commentary. I thought they were completely wrong, and I thought Kowalkiewicz was clearly up and on her way to win the fight, and she gets it done by decision, which I'm calling a very fair decision for Karolina Kowalkiewicz. A good ladies fight there. The next one was sick. It was Matt Frevola sleeping Ottman Azaitar, cracking him with big punches, giving him that first loss. I mean, Azaitar looked very upright and tight, kind of I don't want to blame the ring rust, but I will say Azaitar just looked off a bit. And I mean, Frevola looked on, so this is not taking anything away from Frevola. He's a savage. Azaitar got starched, brutally knocked out in an exchange. You bang with Matt Frevola, the steamroller might run you right over, dude. He did it to Azaitar here, giving him his first loss as a pro. Incredible performance. Frevola calls out Paddy Pimblett. I don't really think that fight makes sense for him next, but I see good things on the horizon for Frevola. Action-packed style, too. Clean win. And for fucking Ottman, hard loss to bounce back from. Next one, Andre Petroski. He beats Wellington Turman. Petroski was looking tired at one point, but was able to turn it up. He had some success with the hands, success with some submission attempts. Ultimately gets more control, wins this one on the cards in a very fair decision. Finished that third round well, beats Wellington. Petroski, He's a fun guy to watch. He called out Bo Nickel. I'll be honest, if you're Bo Nickel, this is not the guy you want to fight. With 10 pro bouts, good wrestling base, this is a guy that could get Bo Nickel into some trouble because Petroski seems like he's got some slick jiu-jitsu, especially the front headlock position. So, I don't know. That's not a matchup that I would be all that, positive towards. I like the call out of GM3 Gerald Mearshart. I think that's a fight that could potentially happen in the future. Good win for Petroski, for Wellington Turman. I mean, he's only 26, but nothing stands out as spectacular with Wellington Turman, unfortunately, man. Next one, the ladies went after it. And listen, way off thinking Molly Meatball was a quality dog this week. Listen to this. Erin Blanchfield is actually Habib Nurmagomedov's sister. It's just under fucking wraps, and they changed the name to Erin Blanchfield. This is like Erin Blanchfield off because she's an absolute monster from the top. It replicates the Dagestan style. The most dominant female from the top position, I think, right now in the UFC, in martial arts, period. She's a stone-cold killer from the top, and the way she manhandled Molly Meatball was absolutely incredible. Had her in the crucifix, then gets the submission win. She looked crazy good. And I don't think any girl on the ground can really match her. She's going to fucking snap arms and beat the shit out of people all the way up to the top. Like, I think this is a girl that maybe we're looking at as a future title challenger. Curious to see how she'd fight someone that's a lot taller than her, like a Caitlin Chukagian. But shit, I think she's on her way to those type of matchups. She calls out Andrea Lee. Count me in on that matchup, and I think she kills Andrea Lee. Molly McCann, still fun fights on the horizon. Give her fucking strikers, please. Let's give her strikers. We don't need her fighting these wrestlers. Next fight on the card. It was Ryan Spann and Dominick Reyes. Superman Spann destroyed Dominick Reyes, brutally knocking him out. Like, it was kind of scary. It was hard for me to watch that knockout, seeing Reyes just flatline like that. I think Dominick Reyes should retire from the sport of MMA. I'm not trying to shit on Spann with this. I'm not saying that Spann only won because Reyes is washed. That is the best Ryan Spann I think we've ever seen. He said he actually trained for this fight and claims he never trained previously. I don't really fully believe it, but maybe the most proper training camp, I'll say. Dominick Reyes switched teams, goes to train with Pereira and Teixeira, and he looked awful. He looks like he doesn't belong in the cage anymore. Tentative for strikes, chin is up high, slow with his left hand, very hittable. He got destroyed. And I think Dominick Reyes is in a really bad spot. Like, getting knocked out in 3 straight fights, losing 4 straight, and that, one that he did incredible with is like almost beating the great John Jones, and then it's just downhill from there, and they're brutal knockout losses. If he wants to do one more, you couldn't knock him for it, but it seems the chin is gone. Dom Reyes, tough loss. Ryan Spann, incredible win. And I think he's on his way towards the rankings, like top 10 right now. Obviously, he's ranked, but like top. I think creme de la creme could be in the near future for Ryan Spann. The next one was the feature prelim. Renato Moicano is a straight killer. Was beating Brad Riddell up on the feet and then was able to strangle him. It seems like Brad Riddell was finished, man. Moicano was just ripping him with big shots. Bullied him a bit. And then Moicano gives one of the most profane but epic post-fight speeches in the history of combat sports. I'm a fan of Renato Moicano. I am very interested in to see what he does next. He seems like he's found his flow. This is the best Moicano I've seen yet. He made Riddell look so basic. Absolutely murders him. He says he wants a ranked guy. You know what? This is a guy I'd like to see fight someone ranked. I don't know if he can really crack into that top 10, but top 15 of lightweight, I'm curious to see how he'd compete. Yeah, there's some interesting matchups on the horizon, but the win here, for me, jumps his stock a fuckload. Great performance. For Brad Riddell, nose is getting beaten up badly. A lot of kickboxing fights. I don't know how much more he really got left in the tank. He's taking shots, man. I know he's not old. He's 31, but he's taking shots. Let's get to the main card. Dan Hooker, Claudio Puelles. Smash the likes if you guys haven't. Listen, Claudio Puelles looked like a bitch out there. And this is no diss to Claudio. I think he's a decent submission specialist. But the way he was just dropping to his back like that, That's not a winning style. To me, that's a style that could get you cut from the UFC because you're just falling over, trying to Inamari roll constantly. Yeah, he was close to it on one. Ultimately, the level changes were not quality. Dan Hooker picked him apart from range, is able to teep body kick TKO him. He hurt him with those teeps to the body. And Puelles went down, and he looked awful. I know he's on the commentary team, the Spanish one. This does not help his stock whatsoever. It was a beating of a loss here. Claudio Puelles now goes to 12-3. Just wants fights on the floor. Wasn't confident to strike with Dan. Couldn't take Dan down. I don't know. I think he would have been better off going out on his shield, just throwing wild shots and getting dropped or something. Because the way that he fought, it just looked really bad in my opinion. Falling over like that, dropping down. That to me is a significant stock dropper, and you look one-dimensional when you do that. Dan Hooker looks sick though. Great win for him. But I will say, I don't think Puelles is the level even of guys like Haqparast, Nasrat Haqparast. I don't think Puelles is that level. So we kind of know Dan Hooker is still beating these back-end guys. I think Dan Hooker's quality. I think maybe big fight on the horizon if he could. I don't know, though. Does he angle towards Tony Ferguson? Is that a potential matchup, or am I really going for a pipe dream with that? He said he wants Australia against anyone. I don't know who the hell the UFC is going to give him, but I'm very interested to see whoever the hell Dan Hooker fights next. He still got it, especially in certain matchups. He'll shine here. Good win for Hooker. Next fight, Frankie Edgar's farewell did not go as planned. He got brutally knocked out with a knee in 2 minutes, and the way he fell was like terrifying. Chris Gutierrez looked like a cold-blooded killer. His kickboxing's phenomenal. Frankie got crushed with the knee and just went straight back and bounced his head off the canvas. That was a really sick knockout. I mean, Chris Gutierrez should be celebrated with that, and he's burst into the rankings now. Big fights are on the horizon for Chris Gutierrez, and he's one of the scariest strikers in the weight class. I think he could go fairly far. Frankie Edgar, though, has to retire, and he goes out bad, man. It's the true passing of the torch, but in the most brutal fashion. The torch is essentially ripped out of his hands after he was flying knee, flatline KO'd. Chris Gutierrez is, I think, a problem. I'm excited for what's next. For Frankie's career, it's no longer fighting. I hope he finds success in doing something else. I think he'll be around the sport. I could see him in a coaching role, definitely wrestling coaching towards MMA fighters. At his peak, this guy was incredible. Beats BJ Penn twice. 2 competitive bouts with Benson Henderson, goes distance with Jose Aldo, knocked out Chad Mendez. There's so many fucking successful moments. The Gray Maynard series that Frankie Edgar had, it's probably ones that I'm not even mentioning that were there. Frankie Edgar is an OG, and I wish him the most well after now leaving the UFC, probably going on to, I don't know, work in the coaching field. I think makes the most sense, but I don't know what his intentions are. At the end of the day, Frankie is a pioneer of combat sports, especially the lightweight division. When he beat BJ Penn, I remember that fight, man. I was at my uncle's house as a young kid, and I remember I said, I think Frankie's going to beat him. And sure enough, he pulls that off, and he was like a big underdog at the time. Shit, I should have been fucking betting back then. Great win for Frankie back then. Sad loss for Frankie today, but ultimately his career overall is a W. It is sad to see him take the brain fucking trauma like he did, because that's a brutal knockout, and I really do hope he's all right. I believe he will be. Chris Gutierrez, problem for the 135-pound division. Let's keep running up. Let's get to the featured bout. Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. Yeah, that fight was crazy. This fight was just absolute chaos, as you'd expect it to be. The fight was sick. Dustin Poirier gets cracked and hurt in the first, comes back, has his own moments. Both guys exchanging big shots. Chandler's going wild. He's got that blitz bully style. Poirier trying to snipe him a bit, but just getting engaged into a brawl. You then see Michael Chandler have success in the second round with the wrestling and kind of just control Poirier throughout. Third round comes. Poirier ends up rear naked and choking Michael Chandler, something that Charles Oliveira was unable to do. He knocked Chandler out. Poirier strangles him here. Mad impressive for Poirier, I will say. He's a brawler too. Both these guys, tough, hard-nosed brawlers. You're looking at the top of the weight class. Who's the name that you see? Islam Makhachev. Well, he's fighting Volkanovski. Maybe a Benny Dariush could be down the line. Maybe a Rafael Adaman Faziev. I don't know exactly what's next for Dustin Poirier, but it is going to be, in my opinion, most likely number one contender fight. Michael Chandler's in a weird spot. I don't hate the idea of Michael Chandler at 170 pounds versus Conor McGregor. I think that would be a crazy-ass fight. It would sell a lot. Don't know if the UFC will go that route, but fun fights are still available for Michael Chandler, but being talked about as a future title challenger, I do think is limited likelihood at this point. Great win for Dustin Poirier. Let's get to the next one. It is Weili Zhang, who bullied Carla Esparza. In the first round, she beat her up. There were some grappling exchanges. Carla did end up on top of it, but Weili was handling it well. And then Weili strangles her with like a reverse crucifix positioned rear naked choke. It was absolutely badass. I am so happy to see Weili as the champion because I just think she's way better for the sport. She has the fan intrigue. I don't know why Carla has never sold. I mean, I guess I do know why. She doesn't have the charisma to come off and socialize with the fans and get them going. And I don't knock her for it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an unfortunate thing that some people's likability is just not there for the masses. She seems like a nice human, but ultimately loses the fight. She's a two-time champion. Weili now a two-time champion, and she's a damn savage. I suggest to you guys bet on Weili in future fights because I see her keeping the belt. I think she's going to strangle Amanda Lemos. Pretty good chance of that. I think that she'll beat up Yan Xiaonan, and I think Rose Namajunas is getting the beatdown that's coming to her by Weili Zhang because there's a new level to Weili on the floor. I could see her working from the top even against a Rose Namajunas. Great win for Weili. The division moves forward in a direction that at least business-wide, consumer-wise too, is what's needed. We need Weili at the top, not Carla. Great win for Weili. Fan favorite. I love it. Main event of the evening. Alex Pereira dethrones Israel Adesanya. Holy fuck. This was crazy. This fight was absolutely bonkers. Israel Adesanya touched him up good in the first round. Had Pereira out on his feet. Hurts him. Reminds me of the first fight when he got the standing 8. Buzzer beater. Fight, or the round ends rather. And, Pereira's wobbly, but he recovers. Second round comes, Pereira starts having some success. There's moments for him. Third and fourth round, Izzy's taking over. He mixes in some wrestling. He's looking pretty good. But I will say, Pereira always has that stalking pressure. He's hunting you down. He's hunting you down. Fifth round comes. Adesanya can't get him down. Adesanya's struggling in the clinch. Pereira's just constantly pressing him. Multi-shot combos in close. What was the time exactly? 2 minutes of the fifth round against the cage. Adesanya was in deep shit with Alex Pereira. Multi-shot combos. You see the uppercut fly through. The hook again. Another fucking left hook. Izzy's pretty much out. He's ducking low. More shots by Pereira with the flurries. The ref jumps in. I know it was a standing TKO, but Adesanya didn't look like he knew where he was. Ultimately, I'd love to say let's let him go flat out. But maybe it's better this way. Adesanya gets to live to fight another day, and Alex Pereira and him will probably be facing off in the very near future. Adesanya obviously needing some recovery, from the fucking damage that he absorbed. But I think this is a very quality, quadrilogy fight. But in MMA, it is a rematch. Adesanya's boogeyman is Alex Pereira. All week I had this weird feeling looking at Alex Pereira, but I was like, no, it just doesn't make rational sense. No way. And Adesanya was up. He was winning the fight. Alex Pereira is the boogeyman. He's the kryptonite to Israel Adesanya. It seems like he just has his number. As they're fighting, Pereira's got the more powerful striking, more effective with the shots, constantly hunting Adesanya. Yeah, the grappling gap was there. Both guys look like maybe blue belts at best on the floor. Their jiu-jitsu game is not what they are known for, but these are the best strikers technically, maybe in combat sports, definitely in the fucking mixed martial arts game. I mean, top kickboxer Pereira, 2-division glory champ, former champ Adesanya. These are the best of the best. Adesanya's last kickboxing fight, lost by knockout to Alex Pereira. Pereira bursts onto the scene and dethrones Israel Adesanya and becomes champion and knocks him out in MMA. This guy is the fucking boogeyman, and he haunts Israel Adesanya. Hard for him. Hard pill to swallow. He just can't beat this guy. He can't beat this one. We'll see if they do the quadrilogy. I don't know, man. Pereira's just going to get better and better. He's a freak. Training with Glover. Glover was so excited. Reacting to this live, it was just bonkers. I was like, holy fuck. Pereira did it. Incredible performance for Pereira. For Adesanya, it still looked really good up until the end. I think he's got to tighten up the wrestling a bit and look to take Pereira down some more. He's definitely outsized and outpowered by Alex Pereira, and he gets bullied, man. Pereira controls where the fight's at, and you see that difference in the cage, and Pereira gets the knockout win, TKO technically, but he beats Adesanya for a third time in his sport now, too. Adesanya, all-time great middleweight, but Pereira just might be right up there, too. I don't know. I know people say he's such a specialist. He doesn't have the grappling. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If he fights Adesanya again and beats him, who knows what he does? Or do they give him somebody else? I doubt it. Yeah, Rob Whittaker most likely would strangle him, but what if Pereira knees him in the face and the fight ends? This division's crazy now with Alex Pereira at the top, and I think him and Izzy in another fight is most sensible. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the fights. Record for the card. We went 9 wins and 5 losses. I guess I got to quickly run through the wins that we had. I'll read them off to you guys. So we won with Carlos Ulberg, Montel Jackson, Mike Trizano, who was an underdog, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, lost with Ottman Azaitar versus Matt Frevola, won with Andre Petroski over Wellington Turman, lost with Erin Blanchfield. We went Molly Meatballs, which was a huge mistake. Lost with Dom Reyes. He was done. Ryan Spann crushed him. Lost with Brad Riddell. Moicano strangles him. We win, though. On the main card, we're on a roll. Dan Hooker wins against Puelles. Knockout. Perfect pick. Gutierrez wins against Edgar. Money pick. Dustin Poirier strangles Michael Chandler. Money pick. Zhang Wei Li strangles Carla Esparza. Money pick. Alex Pereira knocks out Israel Adesanya. Not a money pick. I went Izzy. Alex Pereira is a straight killer. Overall, great card. A damn fun one to talk about. I loved every moment of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream that I did. I hope you enjoyed the week's worth of content. Much love to everybody watching. Thank you all so much. And I will see you all in the next one. Stay tuned for next week's full card predictions. Peace.